welcome back. Well, tonight we speak with South African political scientist Professor Piet Croukamp to discuss the recent increase in tension between Israel and Iran. Now, Israel has carried out airstrikes on some Iranian sites, and Iran has responded with missile attacks on parts of Israel. China has criticized Israel's actions and expressed support of Iran, but so far it has not shown any signs of military involvement. Meanwhile, the United States is considering its options as the situation develops. And tonight we'll explore what these dynamics mean for regional escalation, global power balances, and the prospects for de-escalation. Prof. Croukamp, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us here on the Daily Roundup.
Thank you for having me, Nina.
Well, to start with, can you start by just mapping the on-the-ground military dynamics for us? What does Israel hope to achieve with its strike campaign, and how capable is Iran of sustaining a retaliatory response?
Look, Benjamin Netanyahu, for 30 years, at least 30 years, he's expressed the urge to destroy the Iranian political system, or what they call the Iranian regime. So it's been ongoing for many, many years. And until recently, one could argue that it was hard for him to find the support, the global support for his interest in destroying the Iranian political system or leadership. But then with Donald Trump being elected in the United States of America, suddenly he had the full support of one global superpower. He could never get that, even though from Joe Biden. Even though Joe Biden always supported Israel, there was always this hesitation whether they would actually support a full-scale military operation against Iran. Well, Donald Trump has given them the green light as far as that is concerned, and that's why Benjamin Netanyahu is doing something which really put world safety and security at risk, which is, many people would say, is unjust. It's against the United Nations principles, this attack. It's an illegal attack, actually, on Iran. And but again, you can take it back to Donald Trump. In 2018, he withdrew from the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which was there to control and maintain the nuclear capabilities of Iran. And once that withdrawal has occurred, around about, say, a year later or so, suddenly the International Atomic Agency started to make sounds that as if they say, we cannot say for certain exactly how the nuclear capabilities of Iran has evolved and developed. And that, of course, created the space, those two events, what the International Atomic Agency said and what Donald Trump, the rise of Donald Trump, that created the conditions for this illegal attack by Israel on Iran.
Prof, how might American intervention, expand or contain this conflict?
Look, it looks like initially Donald Trump claimed, at least the Trump administration claimed that while they might have been aware of it, they weren't exactly explicit. While they might have been aware of what was going on and the imminent attack, they wasn't part of the process. Then there was a bit of doublespeak, and one got the impression that Donald Trump was briefed about it. I'm very surprised if Netanyahu would go to such lengths to send this type of attack, a military attack to Iran, without at least some confirmation by Donald Trump and the United States that they would support them. And then, of course, the Americans, they send ships in that direction of Iran into the seas around Iran. It seems like B-52 bombers left the United States for that particular region. And those are the only bombers that can really bomb, the deep penetrating bombs that they use to, that can target the Iranian nuclear sites, can only be delivered by the B-2 bombers. So it looks like the United States has made all sorts of military arrangements. Yeah. They send personnel in the direction of the conflict in an effort to add pressure onto the Iranians, and but as a form of support for Israel. So the last 24 hours, it seems like, again, the Americans are backtracking a bit. I think somebody warned them that this war could have massive consequences. And it is possible that they look at the diplomatic option again and that they will try to tie in Iran into a new nuclear agreement, which will, I think, is probably the best outcome if the conflict can stop. But as I think the Iranians has quite rightly said, they will not go into an agreement. There's now discussions in Geneva. They said, we will not go into an agreement unless the attacks are stopped, which makes sense to me. Ceasefire, talk about it in Geneva, come to a new agreement, and stop the violence.
On to another country, Professor Croukamp, that has showed signs of support is China, and they've condemned Israeli strikes and reaffirmed there is support for Iran's sovereignty, albeit with, military commitment at this point. But how should we interpret Beijing's stance? Ideological solidarity, energy security, or is it a calculated, diplomatic move?
They always supported Iran for various reasons. There was always the support for Iran, similar support from Russia. But both these nations wouldn't want to give the simple reason that will lead to the escalation of the conflict beyond where it's confined to now. So it looks like they've expressed their support. We've always known that, the United States have known that. They won't provide military support, and they won't intervene in any way not to escalate the war any further.
As you mentioned, we're seeing greater coordination amongst Iran, amongst Russia and China. So does this, emerging alignment signify the formation of a strategic axis, so to say, and could it significantly alter the geopolitical landscape?
Leaders have been arguing for a long time that this relationship exists, destructive, and it might be aimed at undermining Western political alliances. It's quite possible, but it's just natural. Who've been targeted by America, China has been targeted by tariffs, economic has been targeted by a proxy of Israel. It's just that some countries, these countries will come together and will start consider a response to what is happening in the area, and to America's support for Israel, and to Israel's aggression towards Iran. Yeah. It's just natural that such a alliance will exist. And I think the Western political economies, America and Europe, the European Union, they know that and they accept that. And they understand that if you negotiate with Iran, you negotiate in the context of these alliances providing support, various types of support to Iran. But I haven't seen any notices or any information that says that they have actively supported them now during this particular conflict between Israel and Iran. Mm-hmm.
With so many actors involved, Prof, what are the plausible escalation paths? Could the conflict spill beyond the Middle East into energy security, global trade, or even cyber financial warfare?
I'll be very surprised if I will be surprised if the end is not, say, in a week or two from now. I honestly think the stakes are simply too high, and it looks like the responsible parties will come together. The European Union, United States will come together, and they will find some form of agreement. Although that it is not in Israel's interest, it's not in Benjamin Netanyahu's interest to resolve this conflict. What he wants is, he wants the B-52 bombers to bomb the nuclear sites and remove all nuclear capacity from Iran. Whether that's the nuclear capacity actually exists to the extent that Benjamin Netanyahu says it does, that's a moot point, because he's been saying for 30 years that Iran is about 2 or 3 days away from a nuclear bomb, and it is never materialized. Yeah. So we don't know at what end will Israel say, okay, good, I am now satisfied that there's an agreement in place where the international community will police or verify the nuclear capacities of Iran, or they still insist, because that's what we all think they want to do, is they want the regime change in Iran, and they want this conflict to prevail as long as it's possible for them, in the hope that the society, the community, because they have this philosophy and this belief that actually the Iranians want to remove their political leadership. So they will continue with the conflict in the hope that they create the conditions where the people of Iran says, we want to remove, there's a coup d'etat against the existing leadership. That can take a long, long time, if it is possible at all.
Just lastly, Prof, what does this conflict mean for regional politics, Gulf states and Palestinians and internal Iranian dynamics? And how does it play politically within countries across Africa watching this, great powers at work?
Look, one of the things of this war, of this conflict, is the extent to which the superpowers and the support base of Iran decided to stay out of it, because the stakes is simply too high to act. Iran doesn't have the support, for instance, of Saudi Arabia even. So most of the Arab states in the region will not necessarily come to the support of Iran. There could be splinter groups in Iraq and in Lebanon, or what is left of Hezbollah, because Hezbollah has been largely destroyed. And there could be some support still in what is left of support in Syria, for instance. But none of those call entities are organized efficiently and successfully, to the extent that they can actually intervene and come to the support of Iran. So I don't think it will. The fear is always that it will spread to other countries in the Middle East. I don't think it's going to happen at all. I think that the real question is, when will Israel stop, and what are their aims? In other words, will they stop when there's a regime change, or will they stop when it's possible to reach an agreement with Iran and the existing leadership on nuclear control? That's only the only two questions. China won't get involved. Russia's got its own problems with Ukraine. The Saudis are not going to get involved, and all the other role players are simply not in a position to come to the support of Iran. It is being said, while I think about it, that it's possible that some support may come from Pakistan. Pakistan borders on Iran. But it seems like if it does happen, it could be clandestine and low-profile type of support and aid to Iran. It will not be military. I don't think Pakistan would want to get involved in a war with military conflict with the United States, and certainly they don't want to get involved in another conflict with India, the other type of enemy with which they have an acrimonious relationship for a very long time. I don't think they want to get involved in a war. Nobody's prepared to come to Iran's support in this thing. That doesn't mean that they don't have diplomatic support, and that most of us should understand that this is aggression by Israel, and it could be unjustified aggression, and it has been perpetrated by the United States withdrawing from an agreement that they had with the Iranians in 2018. That is the history of this thing. Yeah. And I think that's where we are now. It could be that it could be over in a week or two.
Well, we certainly do hope so. Professor Piet Croukamp, thank you so much for your time this evening. Thank you for joining us here on the Daily Roundup.
Thank you.
Well, when we come back after this brief break, our conversations do continue. Do stay with us.